And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to EU League. Of course, Stage 2 and our 5th Playday of the stage in the summer 2021. It's BDS versus G2 Esports. Funnily enough, not our match of the day. That is coming up later between Vitality and Rogue, but still one to watch for regardless. Welcome back. I'm Milosh. This is Hap. This is Jess. And we're going to chat about these two squads in preparation for our game. Our first roster is up, and it's BDS. Let's shade them through and go through them, as both of these squads have faced off against one another so many times in EU, but G2 has had so many iterations, whereas BDS, they're so solid now.
Yeah, they are solid. However, they just got overtaken by Na'Vi at the top dog spot of the leaderboard after the last game. If they win or get that overtime win, they'll go back to that top spot. But if they lose it, they will lose all capacity to take that top 2 spot. That means G2 will overtake their spot as well. There's a lot riding on this particular game on the leaderboard here today. They did have a little bit of a fumble against Vitality, which is why they haven't kept that really clean record that we're used to seeing from them. And as a result now, I think this game will be the real kryptonite for them. They win it, they propel themselves up into the first place again, they lose it, and they get overtaken by G2 and possibly Empire in the next Playday. That's huge. They
got to be careful. Losing against Vitality really hurt BDS in the long run, so you got to be careful here. How about we talk about their opponents? I forget English. Hap. Here for G2, G2, as you call it.
Exactly, that's how we say it in Dutch. And I think this is going to be the true test of G2. They came in, you know, at the end of 2020. They won the grand finals of the European League, and after that, we expected so much from them. But then a new roster came around. Kayak replaced Pengu. They lost 7-4 to BDS in Stage 1, and now Stage 2 is on. But again, with a new roster, we have Hungary and Jonka in there, and as I said, it is the test of them. Like, BDS is the benchmark in the league. Yep. This is where they show how far they can come and how much potential they carry along with themselves. But one thing to fully say, though, is that no matter what happens today, G2 will still stay inside of that top 4 at the end of the day. That doesn't mean at the end of the stage for today. So they have the opportunity to continue working on that to qualify themselves to the Mexico Major.
I mean, looking at G2 so far, they might have a couple playdays where they can really collect points, and today will be a big proving ground for both of these squads. Fighting in the top 4 is very important, as you said, going to the Major, getting SI points for next year. Our map is ready, as our lobby is pretty much set to go. So here it is. And thank God it's not Consulate. We're going to go to Clubhouse in this one. BDS taking us there. Because of that, it's G2 that get to pick their starting side. They're going to go for defense as BDS start off on the attack. Before we toss it to game, my friends, anything to say about this? What is the preparation? What should this game look like?
I think 2 times that G2 played against BDS over the last 2 years in a regular stage. I believe it was Stage 1 of last year and Stage 1 of this year. They played Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Twice they've lost it to BDS. So it seems like BDS should have the upper hand here. However, again...
Oh, here we go.
That was how many super team rosters ago, dude?
I'm saying... Can I
got
for once
on the
finish
desk.
my point?
You know what? Last time I tried to make that point, you know what he said? Jess,
literally, the next thing I was going to say is... New rosters, so maybe they'll win it here, but I'm not allowed to say it. No, I'm not going to say third time's the charm.
You meant to facilitate the conversation, not cut him off. Oh, I'm in trouble. I'm really in trouble. My point is, BDS managed to beat Furia on Clubhouse. I am so not returning to the desk after this game.
I'm hungry too.
Yeah. And there's a scary bear at the end of the desk. Nevertheless, they managed to beat Furia, who was a furious opponent at 6 Invitational. They did lose against NIP, but that's the world champions, and it was a close matchup, so take with that what you will.
That's it. Jess, Hap, thank you so very much for this. This is a very quick desk for us to get ready for our game. As the lobby is ready, and we don't want to waste any time to get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's G2 versus BDS, and I'm so excited for this one. On Clubhouse, we got Ace, we got Dez. Have fun.
Still applying that burn salve after Doki really scorched me on that last desk.
It's all going off tonight, isn't it?
Jess is going to need some salve as well, because my God, she's in trouble backstage with Milosh, that's for sure. However, there is a big game that waits before us. BDS, G2, 2 iconic names here in Europe, and a showdown that everyone loves to see kick off, especially on a map as historic as Clubhouse. And the votes, pretty split here, Ace, 57 to 43. The public are quite torn on it. I think most of us here in the studio went with BDS, if not all of us.
I think that sums it up quite nicely. nicely, to be honest. 57-43 with a slight edge in towards BDS. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a competitive one. We were talking about which map we might see earlier on. We landed at Cafe or Clubhouse were the two potential showdown points here, and we've ended up on Clubhouse. So I like this because it's not something, you know, we don't need any experimentation, we don't need new strats, we just need teams to come out and play Clubhouse because we all know what we're doing on Clubhouse. Now, Iana comes in as an immediate ban for G2 there. Do you think that's a little bit of a target by chance?
Well, I do wonder. I mean, we had Doki talking about it earlier on. A lot of teams have moved over to playing the Iana. Now, the Ash isn't really in the picture. Clearly, mate, you're just far too on my mind right now, and you are going to keep
as I should be.
Absolutely, birthday boy. The Iana has become really popular, so I think just to unsettle a few teams who are leaning towards playing her over things like the Ash, it's a good way to unsettle them, make them more uncomfortable again. The Thatcher and Kai pairing is like bread and butter on this map. One always follows the other, and the final ban is going to be the smoke. Ooh. Now there's an interesting one for you. Playday being targeted out a little bit, and fairly so. He is currently the top dog, I believe, in EUL.
He's going very well. There's absolutely
not just on fragging, but rating, plants, everything. You can't stop the man. You think a smoke's going to stop him? Just wait for this.
I just want to have a quick look at the Iana stats for G2. Now, interestingly, they've only picked Iana twice. Citizen not using Iana at all, really.
He was one of the ones who didn't really lean towards it. He played some... I swear he was one of the ones who was playing something else. Again, Infinity, what shout out to him.
Citizen's been playing a lot of Zofia, IQ.
Yeah,
I think he was a little bit of Ash.
I think again, Infinity Watch like diagram of who's moved to playing what after the first week of Tier 1 play. He was the Zofia player for the team. He didn't go to playing Iana.
So it's interesting. You've got a target towards Shaiko potentially with the Iana because Shaiko's been playing Iana in place of
I'll never forget he played that for the first time at SI and discovered the power of frag grenades. Like, wait, I can throw these round things and they kill people? What?
And then you've got the ban on smoke targeting Playday.
It's
an interesting strategy, put it that way, and we'll see just how it works out. Now we're moving into round one. It's going to be G2 starting out on the defence down in Church and Arsenal. We've got a Goyo, we've got an Echo on the board. So interesting so far. I like that.
You know what I like? The fact that we've got 3 hard breaches on side for BDS. We see this from some
There's
APAC
nobody
North
left.
teams.
Nobody else left.
No. We see it from like APAC North teams. We don't really see it, admittedly, from EU teams. It tends to be an APAC North thing. You know, some teams will lean towards playing it, especially the Japanese teams. Others, especially the Korean ones, will lean towards playing just the 2. And normally the Habana and the Maverick is seen as enough. You'll see one of them banned away, for example. But with all 3 available, BDS here are just saying, look, added security, let's play all 3. Fair enough.
You're doing it now. I always blend these 2 names together.
Who?
BDS and G2, it always, when I'm casting, it always becomes GDS at some point.
There are far worse names that you can combine. Imagine if you had like TSM and BDS together. That's never going to go well, is it?
Never going to go well.
If you get that one, you know that you're over the age of 18 years old. Let's start focusing on this game then. Basement is going to be the first site, and for BDS, it's going to be the go-to standard of attacks on Clubhouse. You start on the top, you work your way down, you get your hatches open, and then you have a bit of choice in terms of where you want to attack. You can try and force your way through the kitchen hatch with some cover coming in after you've assaulted down into dirt, for example. You can push your way down main stairs and use the kitchen hatch to go for a cover on the far west side of Arsenal, or you can put all your focus in to try and take control of Church through a moto push. So options for BDS, and given these hatches are being opened up in pretty quick time, those options still stay open.
Just had a quick look, Des, as the action was unfolding. To begin with there, Shaiko has not played another attacker so far in EUL Stage 2.
Only Iana.
Only Iana.
When I was on the Zofia, that's normally the LM's responsibility. And here's the interesting thought. Think back to, you know, old BDS. I won't say old, maybe 18 months ago. Shaiko would almost exclusively be playing the Habana. Absolutely love playing it. And then Playday joins and goes, no, my operator now, taking it away from you. And here you've got the go-to Zofia, main on the team of Lems, playing on what was once Shaiko's main operator. So, hey, story arc, development at BDS. We love it.
Good start for BDS so far on the attack. They've got the kitchen hatch open, they've got dirt tunnel open, they're applying pressure from multiple angles. Something that we talk of repeatedly on this site is that you can't get away with a one-dimensional push, and it certainly doesn't look like that's going to be the case. The common push that we've seen from BDS of late has been to get themselves inside a dirt tunnel, work down main stairs quite often, and get in through that Ash Rush spot. Shaiko running in and just looking for kills whilst that diffuser goes down. Now it's going to be a Lems who starts things things off with a beautiful headshot on to the Goyo of Citizen there, leaving us 5 versus 4, 45 seconds, and plenty of time for BDS here, Des.
Yeah, absolutely. You got Shoko looking to play the normal LM spot. I tell you, it's Zofia that belongs pushing down blue because of the amount of utility that she's got. Admittedly, he's chewed through everything, the impacts, the concussions, all removed here, and now it comes down to seeing what pressure they can apply from the blue side whilst the team focus around the kitchen area. So a big flank from Shoko could be the one, but they've got to make something happen here. Ace, 25 seconds to go. They've had tons of time, barely impeded by G2 as they didn't really play a roam-based game. They have turtled down on site, and Breday's going in for a plant. He's in the default spot. Kayak steps out, and the echo comes through at the same time. Finally gets that one shot out as he goes for another recommittal onto the plant. Hungry, holding down towards Moto. The swing comes in, but no, he gets shut down. Breday will be able to connect the plant to the ground here. Yonka, the last man left alive, going to take the 1v1, and Breday uncharacteristically losing out for Rafal to step in and trade. The big difference this week that we saw go in G2's favour last week was they didn't cover Kayak coming out of dirt, but BDS, they had his number.
That's going to be a good start from BDS. As I say, the plan was in place. They were looking for that kitchen hatch drop from the beginning, getting the dirt tunnel open. Breday then rotating around, applying a lot of vertical pressure from above, forcing G2 out from underneath, and then able to drop down and get the plant. Very nicely done from Breday. Great cover coming in from Shaiko to enable his man to get that diffuser down. They'd also left themselves plenty of time, Des. When that first Yokai stun came in, it really gave away the location of that drone. It was taken down, but there was still 15 seconds left. Breday had all the time in the world left to get back on that plant and to get it down a second time. Absolutely not a problem. So G2 not liking the look of that site. They're going to move themselves up to the top floor this time. It's going to be CCTV and Cash.
Look back at last week as well, because it was G2 who played on this map against Secret. Lots that you can look back on and take parallels away from. And the fact that we've gone to Club, I'm really excited about, because my comment last week was that Citizen was given total free reign. And I said they've tried to roam clear him, they couldn't do it. Citizen could go literally wherever he pleased on the map, and no one was able to stop him. And at the time I even said, imagine trying to do that against a team like BDS. With a team like this, they will pinch you, they will shut you down, you will not be able to play your own game. And in that first round there, you've got a real taste of what upset G2 last week, what upset Secret on the attack, was G2 had Kayak step out of dirt and spray down the guy who was on default. It was that simple, but BDS simply didn't let that happen. Against a team like this, with the incredible attacking win rate they've got, as well as a defensive one, you are not going to get away with the usual things that you would do on the defensive clubhouse if you're G2.
I'm sure a lot will be aware, but some might not, Des. It's always an interesting little point. Citizen just moving through there. He's going for the run out, doesn't catch his man, but we don't always get to see these little interactions that players have with the maps firsthand, and we just got a great example there of Citizen moving through and just taking out the front glass compartment of that jukebox, getting a speaker in the strip area as well, and what it does, it just removes that ambient sound, that music that's going on. So if you weren't aware and you're always getting aggravated because you can't hear because of the music from the jukebox, just shoot out the glass panel, it'll go away.
This is fascinating. This is not really the kind of opening you tend to see coming into this wall. You'll normally do a line across the top, a line across the bottom, the whole thing falls away. C4 comes out, connects onto Rafal. Doesn't kill him, but he is down, so they've got to be mindful of that, but the support equally could come back in at any moment's notice. So you as G2 don't want to go hyper-aggressive, you know, lying down, looking through the Mav holes there, trying to connect to kill, as you expect someone to be on the rappel, and indeed Shaiko is there. They will be able to rescue Rafal, get him back on his feet, and with 2.5 canisters left, he can get back to work on this wall.
Which he will do immediately, as we see him just looking to burn it out. But Citizen hits him with the impact. There you go. That's going to shut the man down. And this is always the danger of working with those Mavericks, Des. You've got to be close to that wall in order to operate effectively on the reinforcement. But you open yourself up to that explosive potential. And that is going to be a great kill from Hungry. Lems will walk away wondering, well, he doesn't walk away, wondering exactly how he lost that one. It was a headshot that took him down through those stacks of cash, and there's only one coming away with the money, and that was Hungry in that one.
It's all starting to fall apart. I mean, that's not a fight you should ever be losing there as a Lems. Like, you've got a total mag to spray into before he even sees you. Shaiko doing a bit of neutralising work, though. Brings down the guy who killed his old main operator in this case. Bit of a balance back. 4 versus 3 for G2, though. And as we get into that final 50 seconds, this is where you've got to see BDS pick up the pace here or come up with an idea. Because right now, G2 are in the driving seat. The nice thing is, yes, they've lost 2 hard breaches, but guess what? There's one more waiting, currently impeded by Kayak's mute, though.
This is the thing, by bringing along those multiple options, it does make it very difficult
Shaiko,
for the
please.
defenders to clear that out. Shaiko's going to shut down Citizen. 3 versus 1 as Kayak and Virtue quickly find one each onto Shaiko and Renshiro, so it all comes down to Playday, as you said, top rated in EUL at the moment, but work to be done here. 1 versus 3, he finds one, great headshot onto Kayak. 1 versus 2, 15 seconds. He's going to have to get aggressive if he wants to win this one. He's prone, and it's Jonker who finds that final kill for G2, leveling things up 1-1, and I could not be happier to see any match tonight go 1 each at the beginning. We want this one close, we want it to the wire, and we want these two really going at each other.
The fact that Playday still flicked onto that little opening hole at the bottom of the wall going into Catwalk, I was just like, if he hits that second shot and you're in a 1 versus 1, you kind of put money on him being able to walk away the winner. Not to be the case though, BDS sitting up at 1 apiece. And a lot of that came down to the initial wall being denied on CC as well, let's not forget too, with the Mav initially getting C4'd out, down, and the impact coming out of Citizen. Really hard denial, and I think it was a mission actually last year for Virtus Pro, who had a very similar taste, a very similar flavour if you recall. One of their games here, he was playing the Maverick trying to get the wall, about to say the Rafale then, the Maverick trying to get the wall opened, and 3 or 4 rounds in a row, he was C4'd off. It was ludicrous how often he was getting killed, so I'm liking seeing G2 getting aggressive onto that wall. You're not focused on the denial with like a bandit, no. Get the explosives out and kill the Mav player.
Oh, it's absolutely doable. You know, really, the Maverick players should be getting punished more often than I think they do sometimes on those walls. Like you say, you've always got to be careful what with the lines of sight that are available off the rappel. You've got to be careful which angle you approach it from. But we have seen some great use of explosives to deal with that threat, and that one was certainly nothing short of that. So Hungry going to be applying those black eye cameras. One goes down just by the main door there, so they can keep an eye over the bar area particularly, and potentially might play somebody underneath. They've got a couple of nitros, 3 in fact on the board, so there is the possibility of somebody like Citizen maybe just trying to play as a roamer on that mid floor and look for a late round vertical denial. Plenty of holes opened up, so there's lines of sight as well if those nitros do miss. There's a definite potential for the strategy here.
There is. We always see this as being the extended hole coming out, and I imagine there'll be some focus on taking this east side control. However, some teams have opted instead to say, forget about clearing out CC and therefore control on the west window. Just stick someone on the roof and watch the west window. That also works just fine, as long as you're not giving them the long angle onto someone playing on the south balcony from somewhere. That's what you've got to be mindful of. Kayak getting himself set up inside logistics, and I tell you what, whenever I see a mirror here between these two teams, I'm always taken back to their game last year. I think it was in stage 1, when Virtue looked away from that mirror window for the smallest of seconds. Shaiko runs from cash all the way through construction into bedroom and kills 3 people to make sure the game ends. I think it was at 6-6 rather than a 7-5 going the way of G2. It was absolutely ludicrous and really paints the story between these two teams. You can't forget about their match, but the finals, for example, it's always a spectacle, Ace.
Just over a minute in, and we've got Citizen dead to rights again. That's 2 rounds out of 3 that he's taken the opening death, and it's something that maybe just need to be aware of on the side of G2 to try and manage those early round entry battles a little bit better, so they come out a little bit more favourable for themselves. And Nitro has gone along with him as well. That wasn't used prior, so it is a big loss of utility now. Rafal will clear out the mute jammer from underneath. That will allow the exothermic charge to activate, and that will be the hot tub wall open. Coming in towards the final minute, but we do have a Lems down and out as Kayak finishes him with the Nitro. Shaiko finding Jonker, and we now find ourselves 4 versus 3. Out comes a Nitro. Shaiko takes some damage, but manages to step away with 26 health, but he is only 1 or 2 bullets away from death.
It's a good disruptive game coming out of G2. I mean, catching Lems is the big one because now you don't really have anyone comfortably watching the east wall. The CC wall, I guess, in this case, to stop someone playing on the west window. They could flank and go for that, but grenades are singing in all around Kayak here. That's a great shot onto the gym window, but gets traded out by Shaiko. He's done it again. Cash through construction into bedroom, finds himself the 3rd kill of the round before Hungry neutralizes and puts him to the sword. 2 versus 1 for BDS then. Virtue, it all still to do, but this plan should be easy to do. With a Jaeger, of course, you have not got any C4s to play behind. This one should be going down nice and easy. The vertical holes are there, but not quite enough that they'd see Playday. He's He's going to have to win it all out here in the 1 versus 2. 2 straight-up gunfights. Looks one way, sees the man, brings down Playday. Virtue's in the 1 versus 1. Can he do it, Ace? Rafal off towards side. I think Virtue. No, he's going outside for the window. I think he's hoping the man's on the south balcony, but he's got the wrong idea. He's still over inside sight. About 15 seconds to play with here and then stick the defuse off. I wonder if he knows where the man is. The yellow ping, it's come through. It's given the idea. Steps in, sees the man. He wins it now! Virtue finds the 1 versus 1 against Rafal. Will stick the defuse. That is a massive round for G2.
Not only is it a massive round for G2, it's a massive round for Virtue, Des. He's been a little bit quiet over the last couple of play days, and that is a massive confidence boost in play for the Australian, who we have seen just in stage 1 absolutely tear teams apart, Des, and I hope that breaks the seal for him and we really see him coming out and showing us that gunning ability that he's got. A 1v2 from Jaeger, starting from underneath. As you say, no opportunity for explosives. He just had to go and find those gunfights. For me, the first one was the absolute beauty as he just moved through and caught Playday on the rotation into logistics. It was an absolute beauty. Virtue, take a bow. What a great 1v2.
I mean, it's a good way to make sure that this fixture stays spicy. Again, BDS G2, you look back through their games in history, every single one has felt eventful. Every single one has felt competitive. And I was worried coming into this stage, given how G2 have been playing so far. You look down the fixture list and see, Playday 5, BDS versus G2. Is this really going to be as competitive as former seasons? Well, it certainly started that way, so no complaints from me. Looking again at the setup coming out of G2, though, you kind of be forgiven for looking down this lineup and thinking, okay, well, 5 C4s, 4 C4s, they play a ton of it. Not quite. 1 C4 is actually the answer, 2 sets of barbs and 2 sets of impacts. More and more teams are leaning on this kind of impact-heavy setup. We've even seen some teams bring along 6, because you play for the big denial, for the exothermics, for example, inside a kitchen. Here, when you've got 3 hard breaches on side, bit of a different story, admittedly. And the fact that he gets his first peek off and even gets shot at, for Rafal to miss those shots is a real corker as well. And for Virtue, again, as you say, the sort of thing he needs after the rough season that he's had so far.
Absolutely. Like we say, we had some massive moments from him alongside Citizen, particularly the two of them as a duo in stage 1 were deadly. There's no two ways about it, but just struggled a little bit in stage 2, and hopefully that will start to turn the tide now. Hungry, he just keeps himself on those blue stairs, surely going to be droned out there. He will be spotted, so away he goes on the Bandit. Just gets himself back into blue corridor. Important position to hold, so he doesn't want to be overly aggressive there. We're only 30 seconds in. The last thing he needs is to be losing his life to a Lems. Now it's going to be Renshiro instead that gets the opener, finding the kill onto Kayak, and that's the cap can down. Shaiko able to walk into Hungry and blue corridor there for absolute free, and he's looking for more. You can see Shaiko is hungry himself tonight.
Yeah, step in the way, and it's not so much a rush, but they have pushed quite quickly here inside of sight. However, members of G2 can now start coalescing back onto the site. 2 versus 3, with Shaiko being down. This could be a 2 versus 2, of course, so if you're no longer able to withstand on that front. Playday getting the plant down, though. Lems taking the 1 versus 1. Virtue on 1 HP here. He's got to land these crucial shots right here and right now. C4 comes out, but Lems peaks at the right time. Citizen, a 1 versus 2, with, again, only a slither of HP remaining. I don't know if he can do a Virtue here, same as last round, Ace, but if anyone can do it, he feels like the man to do just that. 1's on blue, 1 playing behind the big box here as well, doesn't quite see him as the pixel just about bypasses his vision. And I think with 20 seconds left, Ace, you don't get both of these kills and get away with the disable. A little bit desperate with a couple of shots coming out. This one looks done and dusted. This should be the BDS round.
Absolutely so, Citizen, as you say there, just shooting at shadows at this point in time. Just anything that looks like a movement, anything that looks like a pixel colour out of place. Playday it's going to be to find the man. 3 versus 1 at the end there. BDS managing to close things down with the diffuser on the ground so far. BDS continuing their impressive streak of playing that objective on attack. Des, we commented on it at SI, particularly how often they managed to successfully get the diffuser down on the ground. 3 out of 4 rounds so far they've been able to do so, and it's been impressive stuff from them. Playday just always seeming to find a way, find a route, and find that spot to get the diffuser down. Now, G2, they're going to, I think, feel pretty okay about this. 2-2 so far. There's been a hard-fought battle in both directions. They've managed to overturn a planted diffuser. They've got another couple of rounds to come here, and they'll be looking to close it out.
I think it's a similar sort of style there where, well, not similar style, but a similar expectation is how I'd describe it. BDS, For the longest time, regarded as one of those teams where you can have done everything to slow them down. You could have destroyed all their hard breach, you could have removed all their drones, you could have done everything that by the textbook you have to do to beat another team in Siege. Then they just walk through a single doorway like Cash and kill 4 people and win a round. They did it to Vitality in stage 1 of last year when it looked like Vitality should have won 2 or 3 rounds off an absolute strategical masterclass in my mind, and BDS still go on to win the round. It's infuriating how they can make it happen, and that round isn't strictly a great example of it, but you've got to be so mindful that saying, yeah, sure, 2 and 2 is where we're at. BDS can cakewalk a couple of rounds. You give them even an inch, they'll take an absolute mile away from you. But here at least we're seeing a different setup coming out of G2, stepping into a different operator lineup, dropping away the cap cam, for example, the Jaeger back on side, and Mira also joining for this setup.
We're into the action phase, then BDS will start to mount their attack once again. Last time round, successfully attacking this site basically consisted of just absolutely forcing their way into blue corridor like a juggernaut. Shaiko moving down the stairs and just getting a kill to open things up. But G2, they need to do better than that. They can't allow themselves to lose those engagements.
I'm so glad they've just pinged out that Black Eye, by the way, against Secret last week for G2. Secret didn't spot it, and I think it was Hive. No, it was Gonfi. Stood on the stairs, on a drone. The ping comes through from behind the camera. Oh, there's a guy stood right here. Citizen runs at the bottom of main, throws the impact at the ceiling above him, and sprays Gonfi down for free. So BDS will no doubt have watched that back and know they love putting a Valkyrie camera there and have just cleared it out. A great example of counter prep and awareness.
And this can be the problem with, you know, playing the sort of limited map pool.
The same map twice as well.
Exactly. It can be part of the problem. We've seen it a number of times. Vitality losing out on Consulate, G2 potentially having utility that could win them a round, removed here by BDS. Now Shaiko, he's looking to push onto blue stairs again. He's going to continue to apply pressure there. I'm absolutely sure he's just conscious that there is the potential for a Valkyrie camera in there as well. Having himself a good look round to make sure that he's not being watched. Renshiro on the sledge going to start opening up those vertical angles, and this is very much going to be, I think, a blue corridor and a kitchen drop push.
I think they really want to try and get a C4 onto him there if they can. Just weave it up through the floorboards potentially, or through a hatch now that that's been opened up. Deny one away again. I think here what you see in the Hibana do is just rotate on, you know, 2 on, 2 off, 2 on, 2 off, and you don't care how many impacts they've got. You've got 18 X-Corridors to work through. That said, he has nearly run out. He's only got 2 left on side as 1 more is about to go off. They deny it away again. These last 2 need to connect, and I don't think there are any impacts left. No, there aren't. I'm curious, where on earth he's burnt through all those X-Kairos, to be honest?
It's certainly an interesting question. Other hatches are open, so if reinforced, that's going to possibly be a part of it, depending on what work Rafal has undertaken on the Maverick. But we are getting into the final stages now. 50 seconds, Renshiro holding vertical angles. We still don't have a kill here. As this game goes on, both teams becoming a little bit more tentative about getting involved in those early fights. I did comment that it was something that G2 had fallen foul of a couple of times, leaving themselves short-handed, and they've certainly decided to just back off and defend a little bit more cautiously here, keeping 5 men on the board at least until the dying 30 seconds, which is where we find ourselves now. Breedy, he's got diffuser in hand. He's ready on that kitchen hatch. The drop is on. They are looking for it, but G2 are set up ready. Jonker Virtue finds a Lems and Shaiko. 3 versus 5. Breedy has no choice but to drop. He's looking to get in to go for the plant and with cover to come in from the hatch, but the Nitro says absolutely not as Jonker lands it at his feet and gets a second and I think a third in the round. That is going to be it for G2 as they close out Church and Arsenal. And that one is all thanks to Jonker.
Yeah, 3k in the round, and this is the problem of, you know, one-dimensional attacks here. Sure, you had Rafal looking to drop into Moto, but the timing was slightly off. He wasn't in a power position to have an impact when the drop was coming through into Kitchen itself, and with no control in dirt, no one pressuring down blue, for example. I do want to touch on this blue hold actually because it's very unique to what we see. You'll see BDS do this in the second half. Commonly, you'll stick a Jaeger inside a blue, 2 or 3 ADSs put on the back of generator. What G2 have done is rather than having someone play inside a blue, is stick a mirror window inside of Armory looking into blue. You're not playing someone in there, so you are kind of inviting a push or someone to get a little bit leery and get aggressive down there. But it's paying off because you can very quickly turn around from that mirror window and contest straight onto the default plant spot, onto the hatch if you want to. It keeps the team much more tightly packed together and they can play trades a lot better. It's a really small adaptation, but I love seeing it out of G2. Small things that can make a big difference, like Doki.
Okay.
I had to get it in there. He had my life on the desk earlier.
He certainly did. He certainly did. And I'm sure he'll be sat chuckling into himself about it. G2 moving up to the top floor for their final defensive round. It's going to be round 6, and it will be CCTV and Cash. Now, they defended here back in round number 2. They won it. Citizen opened things up with a good kill onto Rafal that just gave G2 that nice early advantage in the round. It was the explosive kill through the... Look at that. Look at the nitro land at Breday's feet there.
He tried.
Jonker as judge, jury and executioner on that one.
I mean, again, big 3K coming out of Jonker, but even if he'd gone down, there was the Bandit stuck around, there was Kayak poking his head out of dirt, for example. Citizen was playing on AKs. They had 3 or 4 options there in case one man went down. And when BDS are, again, this kind of one-dimensional attack where you haven't got Kitchen, you haven't got Blue, you haven't had anyone pushing through Moto yet, no one's at the bottom of the main stairs, you make it a bit easy for the defenders, I think. So I'd like to see a bit more varied in terms of attacks there. We'll see, of course, if G2 do that when they get onto their attacking half. But for now, let's see how this round plays out. Previously, Rafal struggled to get this wall open, so I imagine he's being a lot more cautious this time around and getting the CC wall opened up.
Hungry playing that mirror window in towards the construction door there from the top of the Cash stairs. So that's going to be an important position to hold on to, because it is going to be able to stop that west-sided push. Now, there is a mirror window on the east wall, as I was about to say it. That is why it is played there. Easily dealt with because it's on an external wall. You can now just go up, melee the window. It smashes it out and it isn't any use anymore. But by shooting the glass out, there is an opportunity, depending where the explosives have been placed, to allow them to be cleared off the wall, which is exactly what Kayak is going to do on the Maestro.
Yeah, I mean, they've got 6 impacts on side here. You've still got the Hibana to play behind, who now, admittedly, all of her ex-Kairos are gone. Again, I'm quite curious where they've all been committed. I haven't been paying attention, clearly. But they can deny all this away. This is not going to be an issue for them. They missed the 1. Got to try again. Got to be quick about it, too. I think they get that second one. Yes, they do. Still 1 more exothermic to play behind, but still 3 more impacts to stack to as well.
That's it, and they're just going to keep doing this. Now, Playday, he's gambling with going over to one side and hoping to avoid that, but he will be unsuccessful. It's as easy as that, Des, and that is why you play the mirror on that wall. Perfectly shown to us by BDS, and it just makes it even more difficult. Rafal can't go over there on the Maverick and start trying to open up the reinforcement, because he's just going to get gunned through that mirror window. Yes, it gives the line of sight in on the defenders, but the cost of that is that you are then able to keep that wall closed much, much easier. So 1 minute left to go, and BDS, they're going to have to think on the feet here, Des. They're going to have to come up with a plan B.
Absolutely. I mean, this is 2 rounds now on this site that we've seen them deny the east wall, at least for the longest amount of time. Here, it might be the entire round. The previous one, they killed Rafal, as we know, which forced BDS to have to rotate and slow down. It's a thing of beauty to see, and I will commend G2 for that. No one's going to forget their admin holds, for example, with the mirror. In a previous week, I think it was against Virtus Pro at the start of the season. They've done some wonderful defenses, and it keeps on stacking up here, even on Club. They've now got 2 holding on Catwalk, at least looking to contest. Virtue will finally get himself dropped. Not quite out of the game just yet, but BDS really want to force their way in here because they know that they can't get that CC wall opened up. Yonka springs up, tries to find one, can't quite connect. 2 quick kills for BDS, and like I said, their bats can be against the wall. They'll still find the frags. Shaiko gets 1 of 3 versus 1. Hungry, he's got a C4 on side. He's waiting for the door to step through here. They're going to know about it. Now they're going to step in, finds 1,
he's got the 1.
Down. Can he get it all? Oh my god, he gets the 2 down, and no one's there again. He's clutched it out for him big time. G2, they deserve that after how much time they've wasted on that east wall.
Eat up, Hungry. He's just absolutely taken BDS for everything they've got there. He hasn't even left them the shirt on their backs. 3 versus 1, Des. He closes the man down. Playday, he's running through. He's got diffuser in hand. I know that they're conscious of that nitro, but you've got control of CCTV.
It's mad.
There's got to be a thought there that says, put this diffuser down on the ground.
It's... I don't know what the fear was. They just didn't know where the man was and just thought, well, we've got to run Cash. We'll plant deep in case he's playing in the lounge with a C4. I don't know at that point. That's what
I can only imagine they were thinking that he was playing underneath, that he'd dipped down and gone underneath to play the vertical denial. So they're thinking, if we can get into Cash, get up on top of one of the tables, it gives us some security. I mean, I don't know. Personally, I'd have said maybe you could have just planted inside of where you would normally breach, for instance. Just, go to a really off site, because if anybody's going to try vertically deny, there's a good chance, without cams backing them up, which there was a cam in there. It's easy to sit here and say they should have done this, should have done that, but You've just fed right into Hungry there. And I mean, he's got himself 2 great kills, back to back, 180 spin in between. He's really styled that round out.
Hasn't he just? But again, let's talk back about that point I mentioned earlier on with BDS. You can outplay them in every other way. You can keep the east wall open, which is kind of the most crucial part of this site. You can keep it closed, and BDS still end up in a 3 versus 1. Even when they're forced to push everyone through Garage, they consistently come out on top in terms of gunfights, have the superior advantage, win rounds as a result. But Hungry there, they know they've played against the clock. Like, he's believed in himself big time there, backed himself, as I'm sure his team did, to win the 1 versus 3. And sure, it was 2 downs. He doesn't get the full KD completion. But this is a perfect example of, stats don't matter, the outcome does in the end. And for G2 to walk out of that half 4-2, you'll take that every day of the week against BDS.
Look at the speed of this player coming in from G2. Hungry getting straight in there and opening that hatch up. But Alems, he's going to drop Kayak for free out of the main stairs window. G2, you got to be aware of those roamers and the potential peaks. Now, Hungry finishes off the work of opening up that wall, and that still leaves us 5 versus 4. They're a man down. Jonker get himself up on the cabinet. Aware that there is the potential for Nitros to be played underneath. There is 2 in hand, including 1 on the side of a Valkyrie, who could well have a cam inside a kitchen. It's a popular location for them to enable that exact play of playing the Nitros onto the attackers that are in there. So the hatch is open, the laser gate is cleared, and the path is starting to open up for G2. But I tell you what they need to open up, and that's they need to open up their account here for kills on the attack.
I know someone's crawling around there, can't quite see the full detail, but you'll take it. You know that he's in there looking to do some work, and now they can see him. I think he sees the camera here, surely. Gets it shot out as well. Unfortunate, but you at least know what they're trying to do here. Hungry has tried to make a massive variety of operators work as well, by the way. We've seen Monty this season. The Ying has stepped in a couple of times. Not really to the success that we know Hungry for. Think back to his Penta days in the Ying when he used to play that quite a lot. It was a bit scary back then. Probably the only way I can describe it, despite it being at least quite strong now. That is disgusting. Disgusting. Good night, citizen. Sleep tight, says Alems, and tucks him in. Bonne nuit, as we say here in France.
He really does tuck him in tight there, doesn't he? Shut down through the soft wall. 5 versus 3 now. BDS looking good on the defence. G2 really haven't been able to disrupt a single thing that they're trying to do. Look at that. They tried to move into Garage. Breeday's waiting. Tried to move through into Cash. Alems was waiting. They just can't move anywhere right now. Hungry. He goes into sight like a juggernaut. Shaiko shuts down Jonker. Breeday. He finds the final one. It was all meaningless from Hungry at the end of things there. And G2, they take a beating on that round.
Yeah, beating's kind of think as a way to describe it. I mean, that was just out and out slaughter. Once they started pushing towards the site, I keep on speaking about the scariness of BDS. That is a great example of what we were talking about. For G2, it's a case of recovery. You had the information on side, you had the Yokais, you had the Valkyrie, you had a lot of information to play behind. But again, I always say that ultimately things that happen outside of gunfights are just things that influence the outcome of gunfights. Unless, of course, you can C4 someone or nade them. That does remove the whole point of a gunfight and may even spare you a untimely demise. With BDS swapping over to the Wamai, an interesting story behind that one. Last year, they were the team that really popularised, at least in Europe, banning the Wamai away. They made a lot of teams uncomfortable during the utility meta by banning that away, forcing them to rely solely on the Jaeger. Now it's kind of come full circle, where they don't ban it away as much as they used to. They have banned it away once or twice this stage, so I'm sure you'd be able to tell me. And here now making use of it against G2, I think because you might be afraid of the Ying coming out, for example.
Hungry, it's funny that you mention that variety of operators, Des, and being known for bringing along the Monty. That's exactly what he's going to do inside of round 8. G2 obviously deciding that they need something a little different to what they brought along in round 7. They need a distraction, and that is what Hungry is going to try to do with the Monty. He will probably try to push his way up onto Catwalk. It is a good way of dealing with the operators up there. Now, interestingly, Renshiro is playing on the Legion. Those goo mines, of course, a direct counter. Now then, Alems, he's looking for a cheeky peek again. If he has some patience and he just waits this out, he's likely to get a chance. Here it comes. He sees the man, but he cannot connect the shots. And this time, G2 managed to keep themselves alive past the 30-second mark.
You can see him like kind of crouch peeking in and out of that window angle there. They knew that it was open, so they weren't prepared to give Alems everything in that round. And I think it was Yonka who was stepping up. Thought it was quiet for a second, but apparently not. Another focus, as we always see coming in, is going to be this Garage wall, so you can start threatening the players that are playing on Catwalk at the minute, jammed out by the mute, so those things need to be cleared out first and foremost. But you've got to think about how you get that right. Whether it comes down to a grenade being tossed in from the Garage door, in which case you're worried about being shot out, whether it's a grenade being rolled in through the drone hole between B1 and B2, there's things to think about.
Kayak getting to work on the east wall. We can hear the reinforced dropping away. That will allow Citizen to open things up with one of those explosive grenades. Just very concerned about the potential for a jump out from the blue stairs here, and they're not too far wrong. There is a player from BDS playing his way in and around the lounge area, which is where you could move very quickly into that position and challenge. It's ultimately going to be Virtue to open up the soft wall. Renshiro still inside of those garage steps, just looking to make a nuisance of himself. Some explosives do move him along, but not too far. Now, interestingly, I'm just wondering where Hungry is at this point on the Montagne. He's not pushing into garage to make a move towards that garage catwalk. We can see the garage wall still hasn't been opened up by the Hibana. So I am interested to know what that big shieldy boy is doing.
You got Renshiro playing in the low level as well. One up top there's Hungry. Thank you very much. Hanging around outside of stock.
On the drones for now.
I believe it's easy observing for us this game as well. I think he was getting excited about the fact that he got this game earlier on.
As you would be.
As you would.
As you would be. An absolute classic in the making, potentially. Renshiro, he's been left alone in lower garage, and they nearly pay the price for it, as the Hibana of Jonka just runs past the breach there and takes a few shots to the shoulder. Lucky it wasn't the noggin. Now, Citizen, he is on a little roam here. He's on the flank.
He could get Renshiro for free.
He could get Renshiro for absolute free here. I'm not sure that BDS are aware of his location. He's just looking to move his way. He's come from basement there, and he's actually just moved in very, very quietly.
Time is what concerns me now. Like, sure, he's still trying to clear these guys out in garage, but time waits for no one. And I actually think G2 have bailed on this take, and they said, forget about it, go direct to site, we're going via cash, we've got the Monty, we're going to have to make this play happen instead. And sure enough, in he steps. The rest of the team will now get the call that they need to start thinking about rotating back. You got two trying to push him, but Shaiko, he does Shaiko things. He finds 2 kills, one more still on red. Citizen looking to come up behind him here, 5 seconds to go. It's now or never, boys. You've got to make the challenge happen. Shaiko with a 3K, 5 versus 1. This could be yet another flawless round. Yes, it will. Someone stop BDS. They look phenomenal on defense.
You can't, Des. You cannot stop BDS on defence. Coming in here, they have the highest defensive win rate in the league. I mean, by that token, they have the highest attacking win rate as well, Des. Yeah. But BDS are very, very solid when it comes to the defensive side, and we're seeing that here. G2, they're just unable to make any serious inroads into sight, and when combined with the struggles on attack that G2 have had, it was something that Kayak mentioned in his interview last week. He said, we're having to work on our attacks. We know we're not moving quickly enough, not quite decisively enough, and it's proving a bit of a problem for them today.
It was a weird one where they knew what the problem was there, because they had the X-Kairos down onto the garage door and they knew it was mute jammed, and we didn't see the jammers really cleared off for another minute and a half or so. We got to about 1:05 left, and that's when finally garage got opened up. And 30 seconds later, BDS had 3 players defending garage. You never really see 3 players, 2 on catwalk, 1 in lower, holding it together. That's how aggressively they said, right, we know what your plan is here. We know you want the Monty to get up catwalk. We're simply not going to let it happen. And BDS were then forced to make kind of a Hail Mary push into cash. And we all saw exactly how that one played out. So for BDS, good adaptation. For G2, I agree with Kayak, a little bit slow at points here. Still got to be more decisive on clearing out those key elements.
Leveled up on the scoreboard then, 4-4. BDS bring it back as soon as they touch the defence. This is going to be an interesting round now, because they're moving to their third choice site, which is gym and bedroom. They've had a lot of success so far in Church and Arsenal and CCTV and Cash. It hasn't really felt like G2 were anywhere near too close to being able to even dislodge them, let alone to win the round. So BDS, if they can close this one out here, you start asking yourself big questions if you're a G2 fan, and that is, where are these
the right team?
I mean, that was maybe slightly bigger than I was aiming for there, Des. I was thinking more about, can we really turn this around on the attack now? But yeah, it's certainly going to raise 1 or 2 eyebrows, I'm sure. Round number 9, we are getting ourselves underway as we move in towards the action phase. 4-4, BDS, they've got themselves some momentum.
They do. Gym and bedroom going to be where we kick off then. What I think would really kind of sell the story of this game now is if BDS have an extended hold going on and G2 don't even get control of it. They've committed the 3 reinforcements so far. There's a laser gate set up as well. It's going to be the same as normal, where you want to get a focus into CC, get that opened up, and then look towards the west window cover to enable you to kind of play on this south balcony, have more angles set up. That's what I'm looking for in this round coming out of G2, but as we know and as we've seen so many times, BDS don't like making that kind of thing easy for a team.
They don't. Kayak working quickly once again inside the first 30 seconds to get that wall open, and this is something that G2 have prioritised as is getting access into sites, which is, like you say, where it's strange when the mute jammers aren't cleared off and the breach onto garage doesn't happen, because getting those things done has been a priority for them. It has been a case of, right, let's get in there and just get working on it quickly. But there's then not been enough follow-up from it. As you say, they've sort of done that and then stalled out a little bit now. Virtue, he's going to take some damage. I'm not sure exactly where that came in
I
from.
think the drone hole?
Very possibly, but that's
no,
Shaiko, that is absolutely horrible.
He's having a torrid time of it, Ace, I should say.
Torrid time.
Imagine if you got killed with that drone hole.
I feel dirty after seeing that angle, Des. I need a shower. It's horrible.
Showered in grenades, maybe. There are still 4 frags available for the side of G2, so watch out for them coming singing into Playday inside a bathroom, for example. Again, they know the first obstacle here they need to deal with is that, and this is where most of G2 have positioned themselves. Out towards the west, you've got Citizen on the downstairs with Virtue. They've got tools to do some damage here, and the nades is what they're looking for. I think this is why they're now playing on the below. If they can clear him out of bathroom, that's obstacle number 1 done, but look at the clock, 1 minute and 45 in.
Also, importantly,
that's big.
Look at Elems. Elems is actually underneath in basement at the minute. Virtue does find the opener with the nade onto Shaiko, which is big, but here comes the flank from Elems, and I'm not too sure that G2 know about this, Des, and they are going to be in for a world of pain in a minute if they are not careful. Virtue finds a second from underneath. There we go. That's the spot they needed. Virtue, he's having a massive round as he gets his 3rd, and that is going to be 2 nades, 1 gun, and it is all that Virtue needs to deal death inside a clubhouse.
I mean, 3 kills in the round is the sort of thing that should basically secure you a win here, but it's now about converting it. You've got Rafal and Playday, a 2 versus 4 and 30 seconds still to play for G2. It feels like a lot of time, but it's not. The big boon they've got is the fact there is a Monty on side here, Ace. This is just going to force Playday and Rafal to fall back, because as soon as you're in a 1 versus X against the Monty, like you are now, the round is done.
And it's over as Citizen finds that final kill. G2 managed to put an attack on the board, and last time we saw this happen in Playday 4 Days, they struggled for the first couple of attacks. They got 1, and then they were able to close out the game from there. Can they use this to build some momentum against this BDS side, who so far do look very solid on defence? Honestly, Des, I can see this one going all the way.
Absolutely. It feels like it's building up to that kind of fever pitch here. Sure, G2 have got their attacking round win, but BDS have already shown us what they can do on the defence, so it still leaves a couple of questions of G2. How are you going to crack these other site defences? Sure, you've won the off-site, and if things repeat, sure, it will go 6-6, it will go overtime. That's the sort of stuff that you love to see. I love this bait, by the way. G2 were a team that historically have played Capitao a lot on this map. The Monty changeover at the very end. You're kind of now left guessing, okay, well, what kind of attack is coming in here then? Is it going to be one with the Capitao? Is it a Monty once more? And more importantly, where is the Monty going to attack from? I'd put good money on it being inside of dirt, but knowing G2 and how they had to change over to attacking cash last time on the CC site, it could be anywhere.
Certainly could. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep you abreast of the latest movements of Montagna as to whether he pushes down...
Monty watch.
The Monty watch, yeah, as to whether he pushes down into Dirt Tunnel or elsewhere. He can be found, there is uses for him elsewhere. Blue, potentially, move down there, dislodge somebody like Shaiko playing in behind that generator, just force them out. That's one of Monty's primary tasks, is to push defenders out of position. It's about feeding information back into your team, and it's about bullying and pushing defenders out of the positions that they want to play in, usually into other angles, ideally into other crossfires, and that's what Hungry needs to concentrate on here. He needs to use that shield to clear out some difficult locations.
In that kill on Lems a second ago, I think he thought he was getting shot from main door, which is why he kind of peeked it for a second, then ran back into lounge thinking, oh, it's okay, I'm safe. I don't think he knew someone was inside a bar spraying at him, which is why it looks so weird to see him run back into the angle of fire. It is what it is, and those 2 first kills, the nade coming in, then the catch onto a Lems, 5 versus 3, you'd wager in that kind of situation, you really shouldn't be losing rounds, especially with the Monty on side.
Jonker looking to get himself access into Kitchen, which is pretty much standard. He's on the Hibana. He's going to want to open that hatch up. What he's looking for here are Valkyrie Black Eye cameras, but didn't manage to find it last time inside a Kitchen, so I would suggest that could be the same case again. It is.
There is one in there.
I'm going to say there is one in there. It might seem sad, but Des and I can recognise that pipe work from a mile off. We've watched enough Siege to know that those are the Kitchen pipes. Just trust us on that.
Yeah, I think at this point, like, you see so many cameras like stashed around Kitchen too. It's like seeing yokai drones in Kitchen on Cafe. I always speak about them, but they're always so recognizable because so many teams employ them. Now, there should be having some information fed back in. This is exactly what Yonker is going for. They know it's going to get opened up, which it will be done for free. So despite the heavy denial setup coming out of G2 on their defense, playing behind Impacts, not quite the same story coming out of BDS. They had 2 on Renshiro, but none quite connecting the way they would have looked for.
Breeder just next to the billiards door there, wondering if he's going to cause himself a problem. No, Renshiro getting aggressive, looking to defend Dirt Tunnel right up in the face of the Monty. Hungry, look at that. Swift-footed and fleet of movement there, Des, just moving around that goo mine. Will not be taking one in the leg. Now, Renshiro does manage to do a bit of damage to him. It's only chip damage at this point, though, and Renshiro is taking some in return. It's going to be time for him to dip himself out of Dirt Tunnel before too long, but the Yokai will force Monty's shield down, so he has to be careful here. Renshiro gets one. Hungry just manages to save himself there. 4 versus 4, and they still have the presence of the Monty in Dirt, which could be big as Citizen finds a kill onto Shaiko. 35 seconds left to go, and the pressure is mounting from G2. Diffuser going down from the Monty.
It does. 4 versus 3. If that one gets stuck out now, it's become near impossible. A Monty in a post plant, it's never fun. 4 versus 2. G2, like I said, I didn't think I'd be able to take it all the way in this next round, but they've done it. 6-4 at match point. They could try and stage a fight back here. 11's finding 1, but he's got to kill 3. One of them being a Monty. I simply don't see that happening. You can call it falling back on a crutch here in the form of a Monty, but it's working wonders for them. They move to match point, and BDS have got one final shot at staying in this game.
G2 won't care what you call it, Des. It's putting rounds on the board, and it's doing it well. Hungry, able to really bully the man inside of Dirt. Renshiro, you got to give him his due there. He put a real fight up against that push down Dirt Tunnel, and he nearly had it, Des. He nearly came away with both kills, but Hungry just able to react in the nick of time and get that pistol out to shoot the man down.
Is this a bait with the Monty? Do they pick it away here, thinking that BDS
I don't think they will.
Every single attacking round? I don't know. They've used 6 picking every single round so far. If you're going to do it, now be the time to try and catch them by surprise. And sure enough, there it is. Over to the Capital that they switched out in the previous round.
Just keeping them guessing.
I think because they know where they're attacking into here, and given BDS had such a heavy presence inside a cafeteria, you want to bunker bust that a bit. Firebolt's a fantastic way to do that up on Catwalk. And with no one being picked up, I don't believe. No. That's going to be a bit of a nightmare to hold on to for the side of BDS. This could be the winning formula for G2.
It certainly could. Of course, Jaeger's ADS is not picking up those Capitao arrows. So regardless of what defences they put inside of the garage, it is likely to be a field day for Hungry. What we need to see here from G2 is slightly swifter movement than last time. It was just too late, as you say. It was a minute and a half before they were trying to address the mute jammers on the garage wall. If you're going to commit to getting garage, commit to getting garage. Get in there and get it quickly. Clear them off those catwalks. You've got all the tools you need. You got the tin opener. You just got to go in and open the tin, Des, for some lovely beans.
I thought there was going to be some really weird expression at the end of that sentence, and it went a lot more normal than I expected it would be. I thought there'd be some weird northern thing you'd throw at me.
No,
just all right.
Not for that one.
All right, we'll find one, mate. Next time round, maybe. We'll see how it goes. I agree, though. Getting rid of those mute jammers is the big focus in this round, at least in my books. It really stung them in the backside last time round, and this is what you can do, nice and simple, right? Get your Maverick in there, shoot them out, and guess what? There'll be no impediment here to the Hibana getting these walls opened up.
Good that they've recognised that as well and adapted to it.
God bless. God bless. Now it's about actually clearing the players out of Catwalk. You've done the easy part here. You've opened the doorway, but now you've got to step through it. You've got to bring down those players up on Catwalk, of which there are 2, and there is still 1 again. It's the Legion of Renshiro hanging in the downstairs. So for G2, they faced up against us with about a minute on the clock last time round. They know what they're facing off against. You've actually got to clear it now, though, and that's where I'm slightly concerned is, okay, you've got the tools. now make it happen.
Renshiro was a problem for them last time. There's no two ways about it. Making challenges onto a number of players, taking chip damage and really making their life a nightmare. Now then, be careful, Kayak. You might just find yourself on the wrong side of those bullets. They do rain through the little gap that he'd opened up, but he does manage to dip away without finding himself taking a haircut on his way down there. 1 minute 30 almost approaching, and we're not really making too much progress yet. G2 Alems is holding an angle onto that lower garage just to prevent access, and they need to start thinking about busting this bunker.
They need to do some magic here as well. Oh, one steps in for the hit, doesn't quite finish him off. Okay, it's something. Grenade comes singing up, cuts out by the ADS, sorry. Alem's down to almost no HP as the second one didn't quite connect. They've got one frag left and they make it count. I lie, they've got two because that one already came singing through. That's one player removed from the catwalk. Now can you get rid of Rafal? Is Renshiro forced far back as well? Have they done enough here to force them away? Because that's the big one they're looking for.
They've got Hungry there on the Capitao, stood at the door. He's ready to go. We just need to see exactly what's going to happen with that utility. Out goes the drone. I think he's maybe just trying to get a peek onto catwalk and see exactly where the man is located before he steps out to make his shot.
There it is.
That is exactly what happens. It forces Rafal along the catwalk, and look who's waiting, Des. He's waiting with jaws open, ready to bite, and he takes a chunk out of Rafal and takes him off the board. Jonker onto Shaiko, 5 versus 2, and G2 are starting to run away with this. This will be the round that will see them victorious against BDS on Clubhouse. They would have to be the unexpected winners, you'd say. The favourite was BDS coming into this, but only by a small margin. But G2, they're ready to overturn that. 24 seconds left to go. Renshiro holding down still from that cash side. The pings are coming in. Breeders underneath Des. I'm not sure they're aware they are. Virtue it is with another essential kill. Headshot Citizen finishes, and that is the round and the game for G2.
Kayak's loving life there as well. They know what they've just done. They've upset one of the big boys. Everyone's speaking about Na'Vi, about BDS. For G2 to step in and beat them, hand them another loss this season. Vitality was the first, let's not forget. That is a massive outcome for the boys, and I'll again pin it down to some excellent defenses. The mind games on attack of the Capitao, the Monty, what do you deal with? They just had an answer for BDS, and that's what I love seeing. Counter prep, counter analysis, adaptation, and G2 have brought it in spades today.
Well, Des, G2 figured out how to attack.
They did.
They figured it out at the right time, didn't they? What a performance we've just seen out of them. It was a little bit shaky in their first couple of rounds, but I did say, if you remember, on that first attacking round they won, we've seen this before, where they get that first one and that is it. The seal is broken and they just power through, and boy did they.
What a performance as well. Even with Shaiko having one of his better games so far in the season, not enough to stop G2. It again spices things up further. Every week we come in saying we think we know what's going on, we think we get a feel for this team's, and then we get a surprise. It was the Russians first, now it's G2. I can't wait to see what happens in the coming weeks, or even the games, as of course there are still 2 more to go. But let's go over to the desk and get their breakdown on what has been a momentous game on Playday 5.
Thanks so very much, boys. And yes, what a game we had.